Welcome back. Joining me in the studio is a former student union president of University of Uyo, an assistant secretary forum of past SCG president, Dr. Etuk Joseph Jonathan. Welcome to Political Spectrum.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ifya.
Let's just see how much we can bring out in a few minutes that we have. We have very little time. But here we are. The Nigerian passport we've had our issues with protests. We've had our issues. I believe at some point you were also one of the people who had some organizational involvement, yes, particularly.
Yes.
Okay. Number one, how did we get here? What got us so fired up to the point that we got here? Briefly, and then let's take a look at what can we do.
Okay.
What can we do to get out of here?
Okay. Well, for me as a person, I believe we should talk more about the solution rather than the problem. So now you've asked, I think you started on a very good note. The solution, the problems is how did we get here? It's simple, very, very simple. That one is very, very simple. That's why I wanted to shove it one side. But how did we get here? It's simple, corruption. It's corruption, bad leadership, corruption. People invest more in corrupt practices. You can see so many corrupt stories online, always talking about corruption. But how do we leave this place? Our greatest problem in Nigeria is the issue of fuel subsidy. Our greatest problem in Nigeria, what has drowned our economy, from clear reasoning, from clear understanding of anybody who have understanding about the system, is the issue of subsidy. What does Nigeria need? They should eliminate subsidy. Either by, you can still continue paying subsidy, or you can eliminate subsidy by using the available resources that we have currently in the country. What do we have? We have Dangote Refinery. What do we have? We have three semi-functional.
Non-functioning because they are not functioning.
Yeah, non-functioning, but with potentials to become functioning.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was about saying. Semi. You cannot see everything there is non-functioning. You understand me? So we have Dangote Refinery. Somebody invested about 19 billion. I've always said it. Dollars. With the federal government too invested about 2.67 or 2.76 billion. I cannot recall the fragment there, of dollars in that facility. Why are we not using it? So if they eliminate that, so that's the only place I think Nigeria is paying so much money to that is drowning our economy. So
now let's pick up on that point. When you hear the banters between Dangote as an organization, the Dangote Refinery organization, and when you hear that and then also hear what the government, the NNPC is saying, you're hearing people say, for instance, what came out yesterday was that Dangote says, yes, the NNPC is giving us some crude oil. But they agreed they were going to give us 65%. They are not anywhere close to what they promised us. Even after Mr. President has said we should pay in Naira and give it to them, right? But then you have NNPC say, okay, we have contractual obligations. You have the international oil companies also saying, we have this. But then Dangote goes to the international market and still buys our own crude from the international oil companies operating in Nigeria, plus, in addition to the 70-something dollars that is the international price, you now add $2 to $4 on it.
Yes.
What's
it's sweet that you're already giving the answers. You're already giving the answers. But if you look at it, this is what is causing so much. If you look at the crude oil interplay between Dangote and the NNPC and the federal government. Firstly, if you want to understand corruption, I think you should study Nigeria closely. That's the problem. If you look at NNPC, say NNPCL. NNPCL now means it has been registered with the CAC. NNPCL now means they are stakeholders. And you and I knows that no poor person is among those stakeholders. So going by these talks now, we need to look critically at this squandering of our resources. Those are the actual problem. Leave all those things aside. What this in turn, the adverse effect of all these discussions that you're having is what I'm interested in, is what made us go out there to protest, which is the 40%, if you look at food inflation, just food inflation. Food is a necessity by any standard, any kind of definition. Food is a necessity. Look at food inflation, over 40% in a country where we have so much land to plant things, where we have so much money. Why is that food inflation? It's as a result of the increase in the amount of crude oil price, the unavailability of this same crude oil that we so give to other people. They say they have foreign obligations. What does that mean? What are we saying? Is that something that we should hold over the hunger that is being expressed by Nigerians? Is that what we should clamp on? Talking about foreign people, talking about foreign alliance, foreign obligation in contracts. When you are talking about hunger of a group of people, these people, they are the people that own the nation. There's an actual definition for democracy by Abraham Lincoln. For the people, by the people, of the people. Yeah. So that becomes an issue when they are not respecting the definition, the actual definition of democracy. So that's how the issue of the protest sprung up.
Okay, now let's see how we can wrap up with this. Mr. President has come out. Now, to his credit,
yes.
Now people came out and said, Mr. President didn't say anything for 4 days. Yeah. He came out and he said something. And then he didn't end at that. A few days after that, he also came out and said something again, because people said he didn't go far enough in his speech to address the issues. Fair. Yeah. But we're seeing that even though generally the average Nigerian leader doesn't really talk to people, we have a situation whereby the Nigerian presidents, governors hardly ever engage the people they lead in any kind of conversation after they come into office. So, Mr. President has come out to say some things. Those things that he said, in any way, did they look like they will give us a solution?
I'll be very, very honest with you. The president has been good with his gestures with respect to cutting import duties on some commodities like cereals, rice, and beans, and all that. Also with respect to pharmaceutical products and all that. But this stuff shows that they never needed the protest to make all those things actualizable. That's one. And number two, there are other salient issues the president would have addressed. Some people said he did well, true, but long term, most of what he said were long-term plans. Calling for dialogue, true, but most of what he said were long-term plans. So if you want to picture what the president said and solutions that have been suggested globally. Personally, I've done my own mathematics. I know what I've suggested. I think if the federal government will give what I've suggested as a chance, I think they will go for what have I suggested. Very simple. Definition of subsidy. Taking selling crude oil to a foreign party, just like they say. Then going back there to buy a section, a product of the crude oil that they sold. That's the definition of subsidy. I'm bringing it back here. So that's the cost. The cost of going back there to buy it and bringing it down there. That's the definition for subsidy, if I'm not mistaken. So, which I know I'm not mistaken actually. So if that is subsidy, what are we saying? Eliminate that subsidy. Why? How? What can we do with it? So use the available refinery here. Is Nigeria too small to own a refinery? Personally, I want to make a very firm statement here that our president should focus more on building legacy. We know from everything that we've seen, our president has a lot. He owns a lot. So there's no need trying to amass one or two other things. That's what I feel. That's my own personal opinion. That's what I feel. Our president should focus more on staining his name in our hearts throughout time. He should not just say this and then want to follow the modus operandi. Some people staked their life to stand with Mr. President. So him himself, he told us that it was his turn. So we have to understand that definition of his turn. Was he saying it's my turn to drag out Nigerians from poverty? Was he saying it's my turn to drag out Nigerians from the clutches of corruption? Was he saying it's my turn to make sure that poverty will be eradicated from Nigeria and defining Nigeria better than what it has already been defined before? In terms of how they said Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. That's an embarrassing statement to somebody like President Tinubu. I feel President Tinubu can do more. We all know that he can do more because there is no point again. There's no point amassing wealth, trying to gather and all that. And I don't think there's any point. President Tinubu is already wealthy. He's already well-to-do. There should not be any look at him trying to maybe say private jets, yachts, and all that. For me, it calls for. It's not sounding well. We are telling the masses to tighten their belt. We are telling the masses to face labor pains. They say labor pains, and we all know before pregnancies, 9 months, at most for 2 weeks before somebody gives birth. Nigerians have waited. We are not attacking President Tinubu. The only problem is that we feel that President Tinubu has the capacity to drag out Nigeria out of corruption and all that. That's why most Nigerians were angry. That's why they felt that this hunger something is not something that anybody should be entertaining. Nigeria is a rich country. Nigeria has never been poor. I also defined it mathematically when I told them that if Nigeria produces 1.5 million barrels per day, multiplied by about $72 per barrel, that's around $100. We don't know what goes on. Around $100 multiplied, you see that Nigeria makes about 7.2 trillion naira every blessed day. Then multiplied by a month. Every month, Nigeria should make around 7.2 trillion naira. That's the mathematics behind it. So if you multiply that by a year, you should know what we are talking about. When our national budget is around 30 trillion naira, around 27, 28 trillion naira.
But you have to also remember that some of that money also goes to the companies that drill, and then some of them also go to the state, and the 13% and all of that. So all of them doesn't go to the federal.
Understood.
Well, we're out of time.
People agree with me that that's a lot already.
I agree.
It does not matter who go, states, local government, and all. But you agree with me plainly that that's a lot of money for us to be called the poverty capital of the world. That's my own argument. And I think it's valid.
You're very accurate. You're very valid, Dr. Joseph Etuk-Jonathan, former Student Union Government President, University of Uyo, and Assistant Secretary, Forum of Past SUG President. Thank you for being with us today on Political Spectrum.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
That's how far we can go today. These are issues that we face in the country. As you go out today, be part of the solution, and whatever you do, what do you protest, you want to be part of this conversation, like I always say, do it legally, lawfully, and be safe. Until next time, next week, please enjoy the rest of your day and be safe.